Cue the game show theme songs. It's week 8 here at Prep Spotlight, and we're playing the first ever game. Are you in or are you out? With
Come on down.
Gazette sports reporter John Berry here. I'm sports editor Eric Schmolt. There's 2 weeks left in the high school football season, and that's when we start figuring out who's going to be in the playoffs, who isn't. We're here to give you a bit of a conference by conference breakdown here from beautiful Schilberg Park in Milton.
Yes, home of the Red Hawks, who are in, by the way. They don't have to worry about the last 2 weeks other than seeding and where they want to be. And
we'll get to them here at the end.
Exactly.
I'd like to start at the Big 8 because that one's the easiest to sort out for at least within our area teams here. If the one that's in, Janesville Craig, 6-1. Rattled off another victory last week, but you were there and they lost quarterback Shane Ellis. So they got 2 games left here with some seeding implications, and how does that Ellis injury probably affect the Cougars here in the last couple of weeks?
Well, I think you get a win in one of your last 2, and obviously it starts Friday night with Madison West on the road, and let's face it, the Cougars control their own destiny. They win Friday night, they in all likelihood are going to set up for a Big 8 championship showdown with Middleton that following Friday, and that's what you play for. I mean, Cougars have been in the playoffs since 2008. They've taken care of that part of it. Now it's on to a conference championship, and obviously losing Shane Ellis is going to hurt. I mean, he went from a position of strength to one of big concern, and in talking to Ben earlier in the week, he told me that right now I can't pick a quarterback. I've just got to let the week play out in practice, see where we're at. He said, I've got good candidates. I've got kids that I feel like are capable of stepping in. But he said right now, if I had to name a starter, I'd have to put their names in a hat and draw it out because it's that close. But, certainly it's going to affect Craig and how they perform. But West, on the other hand, going to be without their best running back who was kicked out of last Friday's game. And according to WI rules, he's got to sit out a game. So both teams without their big playmaker, so to speak. But,
we'll see what they do going forward. I think Ben told you not certain that Ellis is out for the year,
right.
So we'll see after this week. In the Big 8 out, obviously Parker and Beloit, about what we expected from them. They got a chance here to maybe make some progress in the last couple of weeks to set things up for next year. Let's go to the Rock Valley North. In the Rock Valley, 6 conference games. So 3 wins will get you eligible for the playoffs. 4 will get you in for sure. Clinch a berth.
One team right now
in the north, we got eligible already as McFarland, Jefferson, and Evansville Albany all at 3-1. Another win for them gets them in. Do we see all 3 of these teams probably making the playoffs?
I would think so. Yeah. It's again, we've seen sicker things here. Not sicker, but we've seen stranger things happen throughout the years. But I would think, going forward, Evansville certainly looks good. Their schedule's favorable the last 2 weeks. Jefferson, McFarland, both with favorable matchups coming up the next 2 weeks. So that gets them in the playoffs, which is what you want. Because then in the playoffs, let's face it doesn't matter what your record was, where you were, what happened before you got there. You're in the playoffs, and anything can happen. So, yeah, I would expect those 3 to get in.
All right. We should also mention that in the past 2 seasons, every eligible team in the state has gotten in.
Right.
Because based on however many teams qualify, sometimes even a team that's under 500 in conference can get in. So the past 2 years, if you even got yourself to the eligible stage, you got in. So
which leaves
can't
you
bank on it.
With East Troy with a chance.
Right. I already got them on the bubble here, so I got to ask you, are they in or are they out?
I got to say out.
Yeah. Evansville, Albany at home, and then at Jefferson. So you're playing 2 teams
I mean,
tied.
they're going to be underdog in 2 teams, but they are capable of scoring. So you don't know. I mean, I talked last week about the one game that you thought you could see as an upset, and I said if Ricky Williams doesn't play, East Troy's got a chance to beat Edgerton. They beat Edgerton. So again, they can put points on the board. Evansville, Albany, much better team defensively than Edgerton is. Very stout defense. Was really impressed with their defense last Friday night in the win against Whitewater, but certainly a step up for Evansville, Albany because East Troy's a much better offense than Whitewater showed last week.
Sure. You mentioned Edgerton 1-3 now in conference. They could still get eligible if they win the last 2. Ricky Williams out for the season, the state's leading rusher last year. Obviously a huge hit for them. They've got to go to Jefferson this week and then finish at Whitewater. Any chance they win those 2 games? Do you see? Are they in or are they out, Bear?
I think they're out. Simply because of Ricky Williams. And again, I hate to put the emphasis on one kid, but we've seen what's happened to Edgerton without Ricky in the lineup. They just haven't played well. They don't have any other sources of scoring or anything. They had a nice effort last week from the backup tailback, but really, when you rely so much on someone and then you take him out of that equation, it just puts too much pressure on those other kids. And they're playing 2 pretty good teams as well. I mean, Whitewater, if they go into Whitewater the last week with a chance to get in,
I think they probably get in.
Right.
This week's the big
This is the
one.
game this week. This is their season this week on the road at Jefferson. You're going to get Garrett Blaskey left, Garrett Blaskey right, Garrett Blaskey up the middle, and you got to find a way to score along with them, and I just don't think they can.
Sure. Let's move on to the Rock Valley. We're considering Whitewater out, I think, at this point. They got to go
so, yeah.
McFarland and Edgerton. That's going to be a tough slate.
Yep.
I don't think the Whippets are getting in. Let's go to the south. Bigfoot, the only team in either Rock Valley conference to have clinched a spot. They're at 4-0 already. I feel safe in saying Broadhead's in. They get to go to Palmyra. They're already eligible at 3-1.
Yep.
They play at Palmyra this weekend. They can clinch that berth. The big bubble team, Clinton, 2-2. They got the Peeves Road win at Broadhead Judah. Last week I go there and I see them play against a Bigfoot team that looked like it was going to be a great game through a quarter. Everybody and their brother gets hurt, including quarterback Derek Severson. We tried to give them a call to see what the status was on their players, and by the time this video came out, maybe we'll know. But as of right now, we don't know. And they've got to win one game to get eligible. Two.
I mean, he was carted off, and easily that's not a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, he was on the. It wasn't carted off the field. He was on the sideline, and then they took him out.
Right.
Just a precautionary, I think.
I mean, let's face it.
Well, but here's the thing, though. They go to Parkview,
Right.
and then they get Palmyra at home. So the
Right.
brunt of their schedule's behind them.
Right.
They could still, I think, win both of these games. That would clinch a spot. Even one would get them eligible. Do you think they're in or out?
I think Parkview ends the season with Turner, so I don't think they play. I think Clinton's got Palmyra this week possibly, or is it Parkview this week?
Well,
I'd have to
at
double check.
Parkview and then Palmyra.
And then Palmyra at home. Okay, all right. So yeah, I mean, certainly two winnable games. And hey, let's say Severson doesn't play, you get 2 wins and you get him back for the tournament or the playoffs. That's all you can ask for. Then you give yourselves a chance. And again, with Derek Severson directing that no-huddle offense, that's a different team. I mean, that's a team that nobody wants to play because you can't prepare for it.
Yep, that's a fast offense, and I kind of missed out on it last week. I feel a little. I hope I get a chance to see him actually run that thing later on. So we'll see what happens with them. I think they get in. Out Parkview, Turner, they're already done.
Palmyra on the bubble. Palmyra's got to win.
Yep.
One of those 2 remaining games, and then hope that their sub-500 season record gets them in.
Yep. In the Lakes, things are pretty interesting. Delavan Darien probably out. They're 1-4 in the Southern Lakes. Technically, I guess they could still get in if they got to 3-4, and there weren't enough teams that qualified.
Right.
You could technically still get in, but
Right.
probably out for them. Badger and Elkhorn, interesting. They play each other this week. Winner gets in. You clinch your spot with your 4th win. They're both sitting at 3.
Just a weird conference. I mean, you look at Wilmot and Burlington. They share the lead. They're 4-1. They're both in. But they could both finish 4th or worse in the conference. If they lose their last 2, they're in the playoffs, but the teams behind them, Elkhorn, Badger, and Waterford, move ahead of them. All of a sudden, they go from clinching the first playoff berth to being a number 5 or 6 seed possibly in their bracket. I mean, it's just been a crazy conference. And, I think even after this Friday, we may not know everything we need to know about that conference. You're going to have to let the last 2 weeks play out before we can really say, hey, here's what's going on in the Lakes. Here's a team that could do something in the playoffs, and these may be some teams that got in but probably don't have a chance of doing a whole lot.
Who clinches the spot this week, Badger at Elkhorn?
I like Badger. Elkhorn, I don't want anything against the Elks, but they just have trouble scoring. And defensively, they've been solid. Now, Leahy and Verhoeven certainly last week got on track against Union Grove. But Badger, I think because of their experience and the fact that they've been in those big games before, I like the Badgers on the road.
And I think it's a big game for Elkhorn because they go to
Huge.
Burlington in the last week.
Yep.
So they really need to get this one, I think, to make sure that game doesn't matter as much.
Exactly.
Badger, if you lose this one, you get Union Grove, you probably still get in.
Still get in, right, yep.
Maybe both those teams get in,
Yep.
but one for sure, and then we'll see from
We'll see
there.
after that, yeah.
We're here in Milton. Like we said before, this team is in. They've rattled off 5 straight wins, I think, and defense has been the key here. What do you look to see from them here in the last couple of weeks? They host Oregon this week, and then go to Monona Grove in what could be a Badger South title game.
I think Bill O'Leary will tell you the same thing. We can't look ahead. I mean, obviously it comes down to the Monona Grove game for the Badger South title, but you can't look past Oregon. Oregon probably going to get in the playoffs. Under Kissling, they've done very well. He's built that program back up to respectability. They've got a couple of good wins this year, a couple of close losses, and a team that, if Milton looks past them, they could give them trouble this week. And, the Redhawks, it's been kind of the same thing. The defense has been solid all year. The offense with Tyler Westrick has been sufficient and adequate enough to get them wins. And, I would think the same thing on Friday night. Control the clock, run the ball, keep Oregon's offense off the field, and just put up enough points to get by, and then you can put, so to speak, all your eggs in one basket and look forward to what should be a great game at Monona Grove.
They say
a week
defense
from
wins
Friday.
championships.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
there's not a better defensive coordinator around than Russell Leary. I mean, he's been doing this a long time. He gets kids to play at the level that, you know, they may not have thought they were capable of playing, and he's been doing that for years, and he's doing it again this year with, you know, some good players, but I don't think he's got any outstanding kids on defense. He's just got them playing very well as a unit. They fly to the ball, and like I say, they do their assignments. They stay on the field where they're supposed to be, whether it's a zone read or whatever it might be, and Russ has got these kids playing very well, and it's evidenced by their 6-1 record.
sounds good. Well, I'll be here. I'm excited to see them again Friday night, take on Oregon. You'll be checking out Parker down at
Parker
Monterey
Memorial,
Stadium.
and, you know, homecoming for the Vikings, and hey, nothing better than kicking off homecoming weekend with a win, and you know, makes the Saturday dance and everything else a little bit more enjoyable. And so let's hope the Vikes can get a win in week 8, and who knows, in week 9 against West at home.
Yep, we'll have Tim Wester over there for the Badger Elkhorn game to see who makes the playoffs, and we'll be back here. Probably not right here, but we'll be somewhere next week
in the area, yes.
talking about which teams have a chance to win some titles
Yep.
next Friday night. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.